Hawker Hurricane is an 8-gun fighter which entered the RAF service during the late 30s. When it first entered service, it was a fabric covering, and that meant it was both quick to build and produce, but also when it was in service, it meant that any battle damage the wings got could be quite quickly repaired. So the Hurricane is a very versatile aircraft, but it's also resilient. It means when it does get damaged, it's quite quick to turn around because it's a little bit of a simpler design. One of the limitations of the Hurricane, though, is it's both got a very exposed cooling system at the front, and also when it does take damage to its engines and it's set on fire, it quickly spreads towards the cockpit. And so there's a number of Hurricane pilots who receive very bad burns during the Battle of Britain. In the hands of the Poles, they choose to harmonise their guns for a much closer range, which means they push in towards the Luftwaffe, break up formations and then attack them at ranges from 200 yards and closer. What that means is they can attack individual aspects of the aircraft, whereas the RAF at this time typically has its guns harmonised at a range of 400 yards, where it's much more like a shotgun attacking an aircraft. That makes the Hurricane a really interesting aircraft in terms of the Polish experience, because it's the one that most Polish fighter aces and most Polish fighter pilots used during the Battle of Britain. So one of the most notable Polish pilots who used the Hawker Hurricane was Antoni Glowacki, who scored 5 victories in one day, becoming an ace in a day. Glowacki was a really interesting individual as well because he favoured one aircraft. He had a lucky plane, and so it clearly worked for him. Typically though, the Hawker Hurricane would have been on a squadron's roster and used by pilots throughout the squadron. If you just look at the victories that the Polish pilots claimed, they're closer to 10%, which is far higher than the overall Polish contribution in the Battle of Britain, which is around 5%.